How are we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Pandemic Science. I thought I was going to be kind of done with pandemic science because what else is there to talk about? And then all of a sudden, all kinds of things happen in the world of the pandemic. So I thought, you know what? Pandemic science, let's do it. I talked to Anne and Alyssa, and we have decided that we are going to launch our new elective program in after winter break. So the second semester, we're going to do it. But if you are interested in starting your own elective project, then you can just do that. Shoot me an email or post it in the Google Classroom. Get in touch with me some way. And then you can, and we'll talk about it. You can do whatever you want, and I will help you get that going, all right? Okay, whoop. I have disappeared from the world. There I am. I meant to turn off my email. Turned off my camera. All right, so here's our learning targets. Let me turn off my messages. There we go. Okay, here's our learning targets. This is not really our learning targets. This is like my notes to remind me what I'm talking about today. Captain in COVID is first. Then we're going to talk about the new vaccines. Perhaps you have heard a little bit about there's some kind of new vaccine trial. I did a lot of research. In fact, I read the press release from Pfizer, so I learned a lot about it. The new numbers here in the Treasure Valley. And then last and least exciting for you to hear, I'm sure, is about holidays. Okay? So let's get into it. First, Captain in COVID. Well, guess what, boys and girls? I got COVID-19. You remember last week when I was like super sick? And maybe you can still hear. That's what it was. So I was a surprise to me because I have been incredibly safe. I'm teaching this class, it's always in my brain. And yet somehow I got it. So I wore a mask everywhere. I only went shopping late at night. Been pretty self-isolated and yet got COVID-19. So my experience was really interesting. I want to share a little bit to you without being like, here's my story. Be interested in me, But I thought it was just a regular cold, and and I went out and I was buying some bath salts with eucalyptus in them, which help clear out sinuses, right? And as I was buying them, the cashier said, "Wow, these smell so strong. I can smell them through my mask." And I was like, "Uh-oh, I can't smell them at all." So losing your sense of smell is like the strongest indicator that you have COVID. Marcus asks, "Can I go skiing with my friends for an elective?" Sure. We just got to fill out a form and get that going. Now, here's the thing, though, Marcus. Skiing probably really counts as like a PE. You need to get a PE and you need to get an elective. So you probably just want to do that to get your PE credit. It'd be super easy, right? So talk to Miss Tanya about that. Oh, Liam. Gotcha. Gotcha, Liam. So, yeah, that's fine. Between, these screen names and all the Minecraft names, oh my goodness, it's hard for me to keep track of all of the different names. But yeah, we can, one thing you can do like drone stuff or robotics stuff. That'd be a lot of fun to see where you can go with that kind of stuff. So anyways, yeah, I had the COVIDs, man. And you have to stay inside and separated from people for 10 days since you first had symptoms. So actually today is my 10th day. So actually I can go out again if I wanted, but I'm actually going to take a couple of days extra to be extra safe. So that's the deal. And then let's talk about the new vaccine. So, oh wait, there's one more story I want to tell you about the COVID. So I got tested on Saturday because I was supposed to come in to help the junior high on Monday, and I was still feeling a little ill, and I knew that I lost my sense of smell, so I was like, I should probably get tested before I go into school. So on Saturday, I went in to get tested, and it was, you don't leave your car, you just sit in a big line of cars, and it took 3.5 hours to get tested. It was ridiculous. They wouldn't let you leave. You just had to sit in your car, and they came out, they tested me, and then it took 4 days to get the results. So I was very disappointed in that. You know, I feel like we're in the richest country in the world. We should have amazing testing capabilities and not like wait 3.5 hours to get tested and then you get your results 4 days later. That's ridiculous. I saw a lot of cars come into the line and they just noped right out. They were like, 3.5 hours, I'm out of here, forget it. So that was pretty disappointing, you know? So, okay, so that's my experience with the COVID. I was very frustrated. I felt like I was doing a good job, and yet I still got it somehow. I have no idea how I got it. Well, all right, the vaccine. Pfizer just released information that they have a new clinical vaccine out. Their early reporting is that it is 90% effective in blocking the vaccine. So I want to talk about how they know it's 90% effective, and then also that this vaccine is a little different than other vaccines. And in reading their press release, I learned about it. So this is super cool. First, here, let me see if I can pull up a little example here. Okay, here we go. Let me share this with you. Take a look. This is roll the dice, right? Let's say that we are doing 2 six-sided dices, six-sided die, right? And when you roll them, you can get different combinations, right? So imagine that we roll, we have 50,000 people. Oh, perfect. See, we got snake eyes, which means we've rolled a 2 because it's like 2 eyes, snake eyes. Very rare to roll a 2. So imagine we have 50,000 people and we send them all home with a pair of dice, and they all roll in secret by themselves. And then we want to find out how many of them rolled a 2, right? So instead of having to ask every single person, what we can do is we can know what the odds of rolling a 2 is. And then we can just do a small sample size. And if the same percentage of people rolled a 2 inside that small sample, we can guess that everyone else had similar results. But if we have 50,000 people roll dice in secret, and then we ask 80 of them, what did you roll? And like 75 of the 80 all rolled 2s, we know that something is up in that study, right? We know that something's happened. And that is kind of like how this vaccine trial worked. What they did was they had 50,000 people, right? And what they did, and none of these people, I would have to talk to my parents about it, but I would like to. What would you like to do? Fletcher won a ski for an elective. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so imagine 50,000 people and none of them have COVID, right? And what they do is they take half of them and they give them this new vaccine. They inject it into their arm. And the other half, they inject them with a placebo, which is just saline, like salt water, right? They inject them with salt water. And nobody knows, even the people doing the injecting, even the people getting the injections, nobody knows which one gets COVID, the COVID vaccine, and which one gets the saltwater vaccine, just regular, doesn't protect you placebo. And then what they do is they send everyone out to go live their lives. They wait for they just wait a really long time. And then they grabbed a small group of them and said, okay, did you get COVID or not? They found 80 people. They just got 80 people who got COVID. And then they said, then they had a third party. So this is double blind, right? Another group said, okay, who got, of these people who are infected, let's find out if they had the salt water, or let's find out if they had the vaccine. And 90% of those people who were infected were people who had the salt water, the fake vaccine. So that meant that the people who were, remember, half of them got the vaccine. And that means that you would expect that, like, at least if the vaccine was just as good as salt water and you grabbed up a sample, half of the people would have had the vaccine and half the people would have had the placebo. Get it? But in this case, only the people with the vaccine didn't get it. So 90% effective. That was super, super cool. All right. How you guys doing? Doing okay? Liam, I thought that you go, like, don't you go skiing all the time anyways? Don't you want to try, like, doing something new? You're doing all kinds of, like, I hear that you're doing all kinds of awesome STEMmy projects. I feel like we should do something cool. Meg's good. Clark says, yeah. Yeah, but I need to ski more. Well, you can go skiing and just, like, do something cool. You know? All right. Now, here, let me pull up. You built your third drone. I heard that it was a VR drone. Is that right? I built those when I worked at my previous job. We did build your own drone camps, summer camps, and they were the virtual kind. They were cool. I found that I'm sure that was like 4 years ago, so I'm sure they're better now, but I found that, like, you had to fly the drone pretty slow because the camera was always like a second delay, and if you flew fast you would kind of like lose track of it, so you always had to like fly the drone like, you know, like much louder though, right? And you had to fly it slow, so that way you would kind of like be able to, like, depends on what drone you have. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the drones. Anyways, the big issue we had in the summer camp was we had like 30 kids. And, you know, when you have like 30 kids and they all want to fly like 6 drones, you have to basically have like 100 batteries just constantly charging to make sure everybody can fly. This is quite the experience. Very expensive summer camp to run. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this vaccine. Let me pull up something here. So here we are. Okay, here's my website. We're going to go to links. We're going to go to Advanced Image Editor. Okay, so maybe you remember some of the beautiful art I used to describe how COVID works. This was my great drop of blood, and inside it are antibodies. Antibodies are like the thing that your immune system creates that will hunt down a virus. So what happens is, like the virus gets inside of your body, and this is, if you remember, this strand in the middle is RNA. And what happens is it gets inside your body and it reproduces itself. And what eventually happens is your immune system kind of like bumps up against these things and they go, hey, what is this? And then it produces antibodies, things that will kill this virus. So the way a traditional vaccine works is that they will inject, like if you get a flu vaccine, what happens is they inject you into your arm with some like dead flu virus. And then your body, like your immune system kind of bumps into that dead virus and they go, whoa, what is this? And they figure out how to like what it is. So then when the live virus comes into you, your body's like, oh, I already know what this is. And I already know how to aggressively attack it because I've already learned, right? So that is how a traditional, that is kind of how a traditional vaccine works. Get a multiple battery charger. We did. We had those, and we had like we had like 5 or 6 of them. So yeah, it was really expensive to run. So what this vaccine does, and this might be a little like overly technical, but like basically what happens is instead of injecting a whole dead coronavirus into you, what it does is it only injects this orange part, only the RNA. And what happens is it's like in a little like bubble. And the body, what it does is the body takes that RNA and it says, oh, I'm going to build this protein. Because that's what RNA is. It's like the instructions how to like build a protein. So the body builds, your body builds coronavirus proteins. Now that sounds scary, but it's such a small amount and that it is, and it's not in the actual coronavirus. So it's totally fine. But then your body's immune system bumps into those proteins and says, whoa, what is that? So it's a little different. That's why it's so much more effective. Humans have not been very good at developing coronavirus vaccines. Now this COVID-19 is a coronavirus. There are many kinds of coronavirus. See these little sticks that stick off the side of the coronavirus? That's kind of why they call them, they're like crowns, coronas, right? So anyways, pretty cool. Or a weekend flu virus. That's right. We have not been good at developing those kinds of vaccines. But now this new method of like letting your body make the proteins itself and then encountering them has been like much more effective. So hopefully this is a big breakthrough. Now, one thing that they did say is that even though it's been 90% effective, they still have no idea how long the immunity will last. So fingers crossed it's more than a year, right? If it's over a year, then that means you can get a yearly shot, and that would be pretty effective. Also, the vaccine, the trial is still in its early phase. So what happens is, if there are really good results, there's an agreed upon time. That's like the scientists will say, like, okay, we're going to start our vaccine trial in say June, and then we're going to have an early look. We'll peek at the results in say November, and here we are in November, and they took a little peek, and they're like, whoa, this is way better than we thought it was going to be. But there's still like another lot of the trial to go, and then because it's science, you want to have other scientists take the same thing and run their own test. So that way you make sure that it's not a flaw in the first test. You have other people doing it their own way, and you make sure that it's good. Anyways, long story short, it's possible that by January, we can have some of the first vaccine trial going out to people. And by spring, we could start having it available to the general public. And so that is really, fingers crossed, guys. We want this to work. We want a vaccine. We want people to be able to go back to school, right? That's what we want. Okay. What is next on our list? New numbers. Now for the sad part. Okay, let's go take a look at the new numbers. This is the sad reality of our COVID. So the vaccine is good news. Here comes the bad news. Over 10 million people in the United States now have the coronavirus, and I added to that list. You can take a look at the daily cases. This was our first wave when coronavirus kind of first started coming out, and we're like, this is terrible. So these are what? This is daily cases. Daily cases. So on this day, almost 40,000 Americans got infected, right? And then we went into lockdown, and it went down a little bit, but then people started not caring about lockdown anymore, and then it went way up. And all right. And then we started having a little bit of herd immunity, and we started, because it got so high, we started locking down some places again, and it fell to the height of summer. Here we are, right? Like mid-August, early September. It's so hot outside. It's so beautiful. Everybody's outside. There's not a lot of chances to spread it outside. And then what happens? It starts getting colder, and people start going inside and being in less ventilated area. And now, this last week, we have had over 100,000 new infections since the beginning of November. Almost 2 weeks now of over 100,000 infections a day. 2 days of over 140,000 infections. This is just the beginning of winter too. So we have not cheery times ahead of us. And this is going to lead me into, let's take a look at, I just want to show you a couple of other states, okay? So that's all of the United States. Let's look at Idaho. Where are we? Here we are. 77,000 cases. Here's our daily numbers. You can see the initial wave here. We went into lockdown. It almost disappeared. And then we opened up Idaho. Here it is. And then we fell into the warm, hot summer months, right? The low. And now the cold, and opening up Idaho even more. Yesterday we had almost 2,000 cases. A little over 1,500 cases in a single day. It is really bad outside. We got some bad COVID numbers going on here. So that leads me to our next unsatisfying point, holidays. It's going to get cold. People are going to want to be inside. And our first major holiday of Thanksgiving is coming up. Thanksgiving is traditionally a time. Yeah, not good numbers. Thanksgiving is traditionally a time when people get together and sit next to each other and breathe the same air while sharing a meal. It's also a time when people spend a lot of time with each other in cars, driving to go shopping with other people packed in lines and packed in stores. It's also a time when people fly on planes, which are big enclosed metal tubes in the sky. And so it is a time when the coronavirus is at a time when it has never been higher than this. Okay? Remember in the summer when everyone was panicked, it is, if you can look at the chart here, it is twice as high as where it was in the summer. Okay. We need, I haven't seen my family in almost 2 years now, and I really want to see them. But man, guys, please encourage your parents, encourage your family to spend a limited holidays this year. Okay? Have your own Thanksgiving, have your own winter holidays, Christmas and Hanukkah. Just have it all internal with your own family. It's hard because I know grandparents really want to see grandbabies, and parents really want to see, and kids want to see their parents, and I'm there too. But if we can all do our part and this vaccine does well, then we can have a great summer next year, and a lot less people will get sick and a lot less people will die. And take it from me, I was being incredibly safe. Very high level masks, never going out in public. Food shopping, I waited till 10 o'clock at night, and somehow I got it. It is a sneaky and tough disease, and you think that you're being safe, and it just will get you. So please do everything you can to stay safe, and remember that you're protecting other people too. We might be really young, and you think, oh, if I get COVID, not much happens because I'm in junior high. But if you are in junior high, you can still give it to other people. So make sure that you are being safe, okay? All right, guys, that is the sad and difficult speech that I had to give today. I hope you are doing well. Please contact me if you want to. There is the junior high classroom code. It's so big for some reason. Contact me if you want to have a cool elective. Otherwise, I will catch you next week, 2 o'clock. Take care, guys.